live with it. I don't like them. I don't know why I have
But you
them.
don't tie your hair that much.
I tie a lot.
Not when we go out.
Not when we go out. Hello, everybody. Here we are back with another episode of Ainy and Hajra Unscripted. And
Hello.
today we thought, why not?
Ow! Sorry, guys. Ow.
You okay?
We can keep going. My foot just वो rug pe rug, you know, my vein.
Sylvia.
Foot. I don't know, something. Ouch. But hi, we're here.
That was a very high. That was a high. So we thought, why not do an episode, talk about maybe what we're watching. I wouldn't say my favorite, but we're watching
Current.
on Netflix or any other platform. And I know my friend Ainy watches a lot of television. Unlike
I'm an
myself,
actor.
you watch a lot. And you know, sometimes I think सारे लोग बहुत TV देखते हैं because I don't know, maybe I just don't.
Very rude, Hajra. I don't know what to say to this right now. Anyways.
No, but you I don't know how do you manage to watch so much television? I'm so confused. You're out all the time, you're running around so much with Aiden, doing so many things, and yet you have a list of all these things. When do you watch stuff?
I guess in free time.
Where do you have this free time?
I don't.
I
don't watch
Do you stay up really late?
Yeah. I do.
How late?
I mean, not that late. Like maybe midnight. It's not that late.
If I start watching something, I have to watch all of it.
That's because you're busy eating at every restaurant in town.
Also.
So that's why.
No, because I just want to know what happens next, and I have to binge watch, and I will stay up till like 2, 3.
No.
And then I can't stop.
So for
I don't
example,
watch.
The show that I was going to talk about is White Lotus. So it took us because they were dropping one episode a week.
Yeah.
So, and then the last episode I watched 3 weeks after it aired because I was traveling. So no, I don't, like, the 8 episodes say, jitne bhi the, it took me 10 weeks to finish it.
10 weeks?
So there you go now.
Actually, you really pace it.
No, they were dropping an episode.
So you don't wait till it's on?
I do sometimes, but this is the way Faris wanted to watch it, so this is the way we watched it.
So I have watched 1 and 2. The third one I haven't watched.
Okay.
What did you think about it?
Oh my god. I love that show. So I think it's a masterpiece. I think it's an amazing show. I think the social commentary, the visuals, obviously each White Lotus is set in a 4 seasons hotel. The first one was in Hawaii, I think, then Italy, and now they go to Phuket, Thailand, with the latest season that just came recently. It's amazing. It sort of tells you about the darker side of the elite. They're in these amazing settings, like these luxurious hotels. They have all the money in the world. They have all the sahulatein. They have everything, but yet underneath there's always something festering, right? Whether it's loneliness, greed, all these 7 sins that we have. So it's talking about social commentary on the rich, on the privileged. Well, not everybody. There's also the staff, unke bhi, struggles or whatever. Like, and it's like it's very subtle. So it doesn't, like slap you in the face with, oh, this person is bad or this person is doing this wrong. It's like very subtle, and you end up being, wherever you're from, whether whatever your class is, you can relate because you've had interactions with either these type of people or someone in your family is like that, or you're on the other side serving them, whatever it is. It's the subtlety, the visuals. Mark White, like the guy, the directors, the creators' writing. It's so good, and those moments that so you've seen the first 2 episodes,
Yes.
so you can say like there's all these cringe-worthy moments where you're like, oh my god, I can't believe, and these micro expressions that people have in the show, saying without saying. A lot of the times, like you could be saying something and I'm rolling my eyes here. Maybe you haven't seen it, but the camera is catching that, and you're like, okay, so we know what she feels about that. People do things when they think people aren't watching them. They're not. So we're getting this insight into this sort of, psychology of these people in a very subtle, very clever way. And because a lot of them are privileged, you end up not necessarily feeling bad for them because you're just like, you have everything anyways, but you're still such a bitch.
So season 1, season 2, season 3, which one's better?
So my personal favorite I mean, everybody has their so like I can't say this objectively, obviously, but my personal favorite, I think, was season two. I love, but now that's the thing. It's a slow burner of a show. Every time you think about it, or if you revisit it, something new can pop up, and there's all these little like, what's the word? There's these little hints, visual hints in the show that you might not immediately catch while you're watching it, because you might be focused on something and you've kind of missed what the director did, and that was like a hint as to what's to come later. But later on, when you like read blogs or news articles or reviews or whatever, you can then go back and say, oh, that was placed there, I didn't notice that, but that was a something like a little nugget, a little a clue for the audience. I didn't catch it. And every time you think about some of the groups of characters, you can sort of something new might come up. So it's a slow burn of a show. You can think about it, and it sparks a lot of discussion, debate. So it makes you think, but it's also entertaining. So even if you don't want to work too hard with a show, you just want to keep it like easy viewing, like just easy viewing. You don't want to think too hard. It can also serve that purpose. If you want to like talk about it and be psychologically, intellectually challenged, it also serves you that. So it's a bit of both for anyone. That's why I think the appeal is so wide, that people can watch it just for pure entertainment without thinking, because there's like all that beautiful, like there's sex, there's drama, there's murder, there's mystery, there's all of that. But if you want to really like sit and think about what motivates people, what makes people act a certain way, you can also like have endless discussions about
And
it.
the ending, you were happy with it?
So I mean, I guess the beauty of the show is that you don't get the end. I don't you because you watched it.
Have you watched it?
You
Season
watched
three?
the first two
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
seasons. I think
Yeah.
the most popular character was Jennifer Coolidge's character, and she gets killed right in
Yeah.
the end of and brutally. Actually, how stupidly, like she kills all her murderers, but then she trips. Sabko maar diya. She's about
And
to
then
be
she
saved,
dies.
and then she's like, oh, on her big
Yeah,
heel, and she goes and dies because her head bashes
Yeah.
the boat at the bottom
Yeah,
of that
yeah.
yacht or whatever. So, and that's hilarious, and it's ironic, and it's just like, oh my god. And of course, nobody wanted her to die because she was a fan favorite. But so that way you feel like, oh no, why did they kill her? Or so the endings are not necessarily satisfying that way. No, but they are. They are deliciously also, like, it's kind of like what Game of Thrones also did. It's killed your favorite character Ned Stark in season 1 very soon, or was it at the end of season 1? I forget. And you're like, oh my god, how could they do that? But then that's the beauty of the show. They shock you, they upset you, but then as long as it's
Rips.
evoking emotion, it's doing its job. So yeah, I'm a big fan. I also thought, like a lot of people, season 3, it's a bit boring. Nothing really happens, because that was one of the criticisms. Like, nothing I don't know if I should give too much away. Like, do you plan to watch it? Do you not want me to talk more about season 3?
I mean, not just me, but I'm sure everyone will watch
No,
it.
but people have seen it. So, like, spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people would have, true fans might by now have seen it. You see how excited I am talking about it? Now, can
I'm
you
a true
see?
fan. Sorry, I haven't watched it, because
So-
if I do, I'll have to sit there hours.
Season 3, really quickly, there's a group of friends. So they do things in threes, I guess. Season 3, there's these friends that are in, there's these 3 friends, and there's a other thing about this theme of 3. But these friends, and we can relate to them because they're friends, old, like, I guess they knew each other from high school or middle school, and they go on this holiday. One of them is a famous actress, the other are, her friends, and they're all very privileged and rich, and she's treating her friends. And they're supposed to be very close to each other, very fond of each other, but then these little things start coming up: jealousies, insecurities, some catty remarks. So you kind of just, and you can end up relating to all of them, because you're like, okay, because I've been on an all-girls trip. I don't know if we discussed this, right, before on another episode. And, like, sometimes you're happy for people, but you're not necessarily, and backbiting, talking about someone, they're not there, and you think you're meaning well, but your own sort of demons come out in that conversation. So it's really like that kind of stuff. There's a family where the rich father has done this embezzlement in work, and he's on this holiday, and while he's on this holiday, his partner has gone down for their embezzlement, and he knows now he has to face the music when he goes back to the US. He will definitely go to prison. He's going to lose all of his wealth, and his children, family, they're all going to be poor, and they're very rich at the moment. And not only is he just rich, but he has a very good reputation. I think his father was a senator or governor or whatever. So how is he going to face that music, and how and also, so you don't feel bad for these people because they're so privileged, but by the end of, obviously there's a whole journey that these characters have. They have these beautiful arcs, and everybody changes in a certain way, whether it's for the good or whether it's for the bad. Like a very pure character might become a bit greedier and get sort of marred by by having money all of a sudden, so they are not as pure as they were. So and you end up feeling sorry for a lot of the characters that you hate in the beginning. So it's just that journey. I will shut up now. Tell me, what have you liked recently? What are you crying?
So, I don't watch much, but I watched I Am Celine Dion again because I love Celine Dion, and I really loved her documentary. Have you watched it?
No. She's amazing.
So, this is a raw and honest documentary of this iconic superstar, Celine Dion, and her life-altering illness that she has, which is stiff person syndrome. So, it's basically a love letter to her fans, and her journey through her life, and she documents it, and how she's guided by music all of her life. But in whole, it's resilience of a human spirit, how she just keeps going on and on. My favorite line from the whole documentary is when she says, I will run, and if I can't run, I will walk, and if I can't walk, I will crawl.
Wow.
And if I can't crawl, I won't stop, right? And then that's it. That is what life is all about. And you see her entire journey. It's very raw, and it's very disturbing at certain parts, because you feel like, is this a movie? Is this a documentary? Because they at their disturbing points, where right in the end, when they're showing that she's having a seizure, they don't cut. Her team is there, her physician is there, therapist, everybody, but they don't stop. She's not in control of her body, but I'm sure editing may, when she could have said, "Ke nahi, isko nikal do," no. So it's her entire journey, from her love for her husband Rene, and when she sings on stage when he's passed away, and you can feel the pain, and she keeps singing. She doesn't stop, but you can sense that the pain that she has while singing on stage, when she's passed away, but she still remembers him, the love for her kids, and she's a devoted mother, so you can see her kids also, how she is generally with people, her staff, and then all her house, her warehouse, where she has all her belongings, her clothes from all these years of performing, and then she proudly shows everything and says all these pieces are iconic. Like, you wonder, right, okay, if a celebrity has worn something at an award, what happens? Do they give it back, or do they like rent it or whatever? So I mean, this is one celebrity which showcases, like, she has mannequins wearing those outfits, and she said because it was so iconic, she can't wear it again. But it's there, all her pieces are there. But then you see her collection of her shoes. Wow, what a collection! And again, there was something that I could relate to, because I have the same problem where, I mean, I'm a woman, I love shoes, but also she says when she goes to buy shoes, and she asks for a pair of shoes, she doesn't say she just asks, do you have these shoes? They're like, what size? They're like, no, it's not about the size. Do you have the shoe? So even if it's a size smaller, bigger, whatever, she will squeeze her foot in it.
Wow.
And that's me. When someone asks me what your size is, I'm size 37, I'm 37 and a half, I'm a 38, and I'm a 38 and a half as well. Juta de do. In fact, I have a pair of shoes that I absolutely love.
Can I borrow them?
They're 36.5.
What?
I'm not even a 36.5, I'm 38. But I will squeeze my shoe in it. And my friends might vouch for it. I'm like, I will walk in the shoe, I do not care. And uncomfortable, but I will walk it. So she had all these beautiful shoes. But then you're like, wow, this woman has everything. But then that sweet side that she has all her children's toys and their horses and their clothes and their little everything. She doesn't want to get rid of anything. So she has it. And it's not like she's a hoarder. They're kept, I mean, Celine Dion. They're kept in impeccably in a manner where, the boxes are labeled. twins' old clothes do not fit,
Aw.
things like that. So it highlights that, and she's shown like a busy woman where she's doing all sorts of stuff. But
What
this particular documentary was made for the people.
What is stiff person syndrome? I just want to know.
Bichari, she has
Yeah, what is?
spasms,
Okay.
and the spasms she cannot control. So the journey they've showed, that she had to cancel her concerts, and she felt really, really awful for people. And she keeps reminding that she feels awful for people who have paid and they want to. She had to cancel her tour because she was suffering from it. For a year, she was taking medications, and they had to up the medication every time she would go on stage. She used to feel like a spasm is coming. So she had to take a higher dose, a higher dose, a higher dose, to the point that she couldn't take more higher doses, and she had to stop. And what would happen, and she shows us what in snippets of her old performances where she's going on stage, and she's about to have a spasm, but she can't tell people she's having a spasm, right? So she would run off stage, outfit change, but not come back to stage. Or she would be singing and she would have a spasm, and when you're having a spasm, she couldn't, like, we know her, the pitch of her voice, she couldn't go up, and it would crackle, right? So she would just move the microphone towards the public. So
And let
while
them
it was,
sing.
so they wouldn't know that her voice
Oh.
was crackling, but she was suffering because she wants to sing in a certain way, but she couldn't. So she had to stop. And she was living her life at home. But music is so dear to her because then she highlights her family. She's a family of 13 other siblings.
Wow.
And her mother, the whole family, like the mother was a musician, the father a musician.
She's Canadian, right?
She's Canadian.
Yeah.
French Canadian, is it?
Yes, she's from. I think she's from Quebec because I went to McGill and she had a chain of diners over there, and so I think she's French Canadian. But anyways, go
So
on.
she then highlights how they struggled. Sometimes they didn't have food on the table, and it was difficult. But they kept it together. So reflecting how her mother was resilient, and that's how she gets it from the family also. But it was a very beautifully done documentary, but very tough on yourself to watch it. To see her going through that pain, this illness that's altering, she can't control, she has no control
Yeah.
on her body.
Yeah.
And then they show that, 3 years later of suffering, then she goes back to the studios and she wants to practice, to see whether eventually she can get back to singing and so on. And she does, she tries, she goes, she's frustrated, she's annoyed with herself, she's slightly embarrassed that she cannot reach her pitch. And then she says, no, let's do it again, let's do it again. She tries that. She goes back to the studio again, and then she starts having a tiny little spasm. And that spasm becomes an extreme spasm that she's got to, like, now lie down, and then they show it all to you. It's very raw, very honest, very disturbing. And we wish her well, good health. But
Very
it was
remarkable.
it's a remarkable documentary. I've never seen anything so raw and so honest done on someone so iconic like her. So that I really enjoyed it that way. And the other one that I watched, which was nonsense, because every time I watch something very heavy, I have to watch something that's borderline nonsense. I watched Dubai Blink.
I watched the first season.
You watched the first?
The first season. How many?
This
are
was. Is it season 3?
I don't know. I always watched the
Again,
first
I don't know, season 2. But I couldn't watch the entire thing entirely, so it was just in the background. So
Yeah.
if I got a glimpse and I was watching it, then I was like, okay, whatever, watching it, and then whatever. And then usme bits and pieces that I watched that I didn't enjoy, they were really cringe. It felt more scripted than ever.
Is that one of the reality shows that you watch?
No, I mean, I literally put anything on. Sometimes I put things on, and if they don't really catch my attention, they become like a little
If they don't
background.
pass the 5-second rule, or maybe a little bit longer.
Yeah,
for-
and
for
then
it
some,
to
like
mature.
White Lotus I really enjoy, but I wait for it all to
Yeah.
be published, and then I watch it. But then this one, there were bits and pieces that I thought, okay, they were good. Like Farhana Bodhi, she basically comes on a podcast and she becomes really vulnerable and talks about her personal life. She talks about her son, and you feel like, because she was so vulnerable, it just felt really honest also, that she was you could see this is relatable. The woman's reaching out. She's saying, listen, I'm a mom. I'm working really hard. My son's on the spectrum and so on. Life is tough. Cut me some slack. I'm doing what I'm doing. So I that bit, I think she really took over the show in terms of like, because she highlighted that little bit about herself. But then there were other characters that I found really funny, like Safa. But I thought, oh my God, she was like the whole funeral of the car, and then
A funeral of a car?
She had like a black Lamborghini, a black sports car. It was a
What do you
Lamborghini.
mean funeral of a car?
Like
This
she
is
was
not
giving
like
it
a-
away because
Huh?
giving it away or something. So she
Achha, bhai.
invited everyone, and everyone was dressed up like peacocks and pata nahi kya and whatever. And then
I
funeral
still
of
don't
a car.
understand.
Yeah, you won't understand when you watch it. You're like, what are you doing? What are you doing? It's just sort of really
Trying to make
extremely materialistic and funeral of a car because you're giving the car away. Things like that, and then the fights, the cat fights, and
Should we have a funeral for your car? Aren't you renting these days? Okay, तो चलो. Agar if we have nothing else to talk about, we might have Hajra.
But that show is a light show, whatever. Then I watched that. What's that show? The Bollywood Wife thing. Again, watched it.
Bollywood wives.
And,
I watched Selling
current-
Sunset.
You watched that?
Yeah, I don't know, I love that group of characters,
Yeah.
the Oppenheim group or whatever.
Okay.
And they're in LA, and just the houses are amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, we live in London. Yahan for the same price point, you get a little dabba.
And then you see these.
Or over there, for the same price point in LA, I mean, you get views, you get obviously Selling Sunset, and you get just, so it is fun to, and then obviously the cattiness of the cast
Yeah.
is fun, and then obviously just those houses. It's just sheer like pleasure to watch those houses and be like, they're just endless.
So I've started watching The Traitors. Have you watched that? Yes.
Oh, what is that?
It's a show set with again people in one house, and then
Reality.
and then they'll win X amount of money. So I've started watching that.
Okay.
So let's see how far I go with that. And then obviously the hardest watch that you watched and
We
I
both
watched,
watched.
and I was trying to delay it, but then I said no, I think I need to watch it because everyone's talking about it and everyone says you have to watch it. And Adolescence.
I think it's Netflix's most watched show right now, right?
Yeah.
And it's freaking parents out. It's giving a lot of fodder for debate. Not debate, more like just reflection on what can you do, how can you monitor your children, like how closely do you, or how well do you even know your child, actually forget everything else, like how well do you know your child, because this is a relatively nice normal couple, I don't know, who just don't know what their 13-year-old is watching online, who he's getting influenced by, like he's 13, right? And these misogynistic, weird views, the way he sees women, the way he's being shaped and formed by what he's watching online, clearly. Because I don't think his teachers or his parents are necessarily helping him, because like they show his mom and his dad to be quite these regular, like this regular middle class sort of family. And I mean, you have an 11-year-old. Did it freak you
I'm
out?
a 10-year-old, but it did
10-year-old,
freak me
sorry.
out. But again, when you see the show, it shows you the dynamics of the parents also, right? Like how the man of the house is the man of the house, and the woman is just the woman. And they gave a little background also that how he was as a man. He was a man, right? And the woman, the wife was, even though they had love and everything, but she was.
What you're saying is the parents' sort of gender domestic roles are very well defined. The mom is a homemaker, the
The
father is
homemaker,
a plumber. Or
Plumber, and then he makes the decisions, right? Like all she does is like she's cooking and cleaning and so on, what to eat and so on. So I think that respect factor you see from your house, and if you have boys, also girls, but boys see how moms are respected. Also, if they have sisters, like is the sister told to do? I think there was also a scene in it where the sister is told to do something. So it's how we treat our children and our women in the house in front of our boys. Like, no, you can't speak to your mom like that. Or you have to behave a certain way, respect women in a certain way. It's also the friend circles that you keep. You have to know what friends your children have. You have to, it's about their egos. It's about their personalities building. It's about maybe them falling in love. It's about getting rejection from girls. It's all of that. But how to react when all of that happens.
I mean, obviously they reference Andrew Tate in the show. I
Yes.
think they actually, they take his name. That these boys are watching his videos.
Heavily influenced.
Heavily influenced by that. So, and then it's forming because they're so impressionable at 13. So, he feels that if this girl is rejecting me,
Yes.
I'm gonna stab her, or
I can do
maybe
anything.
I don't even know. Yeah, exactly. So like she's, who is she? How could she do that? It's me. Her, and like he's not, just that whole morality that. So your son, as I said, because he is 10 and he's going on to 11, he's preteen, almost preteen. How closely do you like monitor his online
So look,
usage
there's a
and stuff?
loving household. There's respect from like my Abbas gives me respect. He knows mom's the boss. So it's not like, oh, I'm the man of the house and I'm the boss. So it's like, you have to give that respect to a woman, and how he respects his mother, how he respects his sister. So obviously the child sees that
Absorbs this.
these women are very important. So you cannot misbehave with them, a woman, and little things of again, these are little bodies, little brains. You have to very closely monitor them and their behaviors, their the peer pressure they're going through. What sort of chat are they coming with when they come back from school? What do their friends talk about? Are they circled right? Are they in the right circle?
You're
also?
right. I think one thing that maybe in the show we saw that perhaps the parents weren't conversing, because even though when the wife breaks down at the end, she says, what did we do wrong?
Yeah.
Obviously this happened under our roof.
Yeah.
So maybe on a daily basis she wasn't talking to him like, what happened in your day, everything, your conversation, not because you're snooping, because you're genuinely interested
Yeah.
in who your child is interacting with, what conversations they're having, what they're watching,
Correct.
roadblocks. So yeah,
Absolute
Joby,
Minecraft
who are they?
or all
Yeah,
of these
what are
games.
their videos, the parental controls? Again, it goes back to all of that. It needs to be so strong, but you need to be a person. You have to cultivate, and it's very difficult. Sometimes you're working, you're overworked, you don't have the time to give your child, and it can slip away. That child can enter a realm that you aren't even aware of, because
Absolutely.
you're not having those daily interactions with the child that are genuine, that are deep, where the child feels comfortable, so that the child comes to you and says, Mom, I was talking to my friend and they were saying this, like, what do you think about that? You need to, and that actually, it's not that easy. It sounds easy, but it's not, because,
Yeah.
especially if you're working parents, you don't have help, you can't afford it. You're so busy trying to do everything, like just get the chores done, that you're like, ab wo kahan hai time? And that is difficult for a lot of people, but you have to do it in those tender ages of a child. Otherwise, something horrible like this, and you might think, I'm not a bad person.
Correct.
We don't have these values, but something like this.
But you got to
Khudana
pick your
khasta.
battles also, right?
Exactly.
You need, this is important. Where everything else is also important, like feeding yourself, sleeping, getting up, going to school, working, whatever, socializing. What is important needs to be dealt with, so you don't
Children.
regret. And if you have children and you brought them in this world, then you need to please make sure that they do social media. Please don't let them on social media at an early age. All of this dancing and whatever on social
Ads bhi
media.
aa jate hain beech
Don't
mein.
do that to them.
Yeah.
Monitor what they're watching. Is it age appropriate? Do not let them just wander off, watch anything on YouTube, even if it's like YouTube Kids or whatever. Let them see what they're watching. Sit with them. Watch with them. Don't let them go hide in a room and use devices and not know what's going on with them, right? See what their friends are like. Ask them what their friends are like. Things like they might give you little hints as well, like, how was it with so and so friend? And if they tell you, yeah, so and so was mean to you, try to break it out. Understand why that friend was mean. Was the child being bullied? So on. Try to understand and encourage your child, his self-esteem and beyond everything. You have to
I think they
really build
touched
up all these things.
I think they touched upon that.
Yes.
That maybe the girls were mean to the boys,
Yes,
right? They were bullying them.
They were
but then
bullying
look
them.
at this reaction.
But again, that whole
Yeah.
reaction was
Because he was internalizing it, right?
Correct.
He didn't talk about it. Like,
Yeah.
maybe he felt the father wasn't going to talk. He might be
Yeah.
like, oh, stop being a pussy. Like, something like that. Maybe the dad might have had that reaction. Maybe the mom just wasn't available because she was so busy
Yes.
running the house and had, like, she didn't look like she was chilling all the time. She looked like she was a busy lady.
Correct.
But he didn't have that, so he was internalizing it.
But at the
internalizing
same
it,
time,
and then he
that very
bursts.
crucial scene where he says he's asked for dad. He wants dad to come to the police station, right? and she couldn't understand, why not me, why not the mother, I'm the mother. And you doubt yourself, like, does he not trust me, can he not chat with me, so on. So for a mom and a dad, sometimes you have certain things, like, if there's little awkward things, okay, Abbas, you explain to him, you'll do a better version. But it shouldn't be such that if Abbas is not around, I can't deal with that. I have to be able to speak to our Aris has to be very comfortable speaking to me too. So all these things, you take hints away from it, and you understand that you should be a parent, have that respect also, very important, but also be a friend to your child, where your first contact is yourself. Like, God forbid, if your child is in any sort of problem, they do not hesitate, and they can tell you what's happened, because they don't want to fear you. Like, if I tell her, or if I tell my dad, he's going to tell me off, he's going to do this to me, he's going to ban me from this. No, they need, I want you to tell me each and everything.
And they need to know that you have their back. And
Absolutely.
actually something happened last night, and this has literally happened last night. And I'll take it as first I was like taken aback, and then I looked at, I took the positive bits out of that, and I took it as a positive thing and as an opportunity. So I was putting Aiden to bed last night, and then because he was taking, so he was basically, he has ADHD, right? So he was like trying to talk about this, trying to delay the process of sleep. Now Aiden is only 5.5, but he was like, bringing up lots of topics, and and I was like, Aiden, you need to go to sleep. You need to go to bed. Close your eyes. And we've already read the bedtime story. We've gone over the day's activities. What did he do in his class? What did he do on his first day back? Because it was the first day back for him yesterday. Ye sari baatein ho gayi thi, and then he was just dilly-dallying, and I knew he was very tired, but he just wanted to. Wo hota hai bacche ka. But I think my tone, sometimes it's, with parenting, it's not about the contents, it's about your tone as well. It's about your energy. If you have a stressed tone, even if you're saying something nice, like, it could be, Aiden, go to sleep. But if it's, Aiden, go to bed, it's a little bit bossy. So Aiden said to me, and he's only 5.5, so he said, Mom, why are you so bossy? And I said, ooh, okay. And at first I was like, ooh, I don't want to give in compliment. And I was like, I'm the boss, so sometimes I'm bossy, but you know what, Aiden? And then he said, don't be bossy with me, be calm. He's 5.5. I was like, oh my God. So I said, Aiden, you're right. Even though I think I'm your boss, or I'm just your parent, and sometimes bosses get bossy, but this boss and bossy. I was just being funny with him. I was trying to just, say, okay, I don't want to be like, oh, I'm completely wrong. But of course, I was like, one shouldn't be bossy, Aiden, you're right. No matter what I'm saying, I should say it in a calm way. And he was trying to tell me at 5.5 that be calm, whatever you're saying, and I will respond better. I was like, how intelligent, or like, where is this coming from? I was like, did you talk about this with anyone? Did you watch this in a show? He was like, no, he was just don't be bossy, be calm. And I was like, you know what? You're totally right. I need to, whatever I'm saying to you, I shouldn't say it in that tone. I should just say it in a calmer tone. And you probably will respond much better. I've started using that, because I'm, a person who might just be like, oh, yeah, don't do that. Like, I might say it like that, and I'm not being like, going and be like, hey, don't do that. But even that tone to him, he's a sensitive boy, and if I just said, it takes longer. Sometimes you feel like you don't have the patience. I have to do that with him. I just have to, because the kid is not going to respond. He is not going to do what I want him unless my tone matches the energy that he requires. And then I also thought that, this is really in a way, because first I was feeling so bad. I was like, I'm so bossy with my child, my tone, and my own child is telling me, Mommy, please. But then I was like, you know what, it's also a nice thing, because I discussed it with a few people, and they were like, it's really lovely that your child can come to you.
Yeah.
And he feels safe enough with you that he's not like, Mommy's going to scream at me more, or she's going to yell at me more. He felt safe enough to be like, Mom, just don't be so bossy and be calmer with me. So the fact that he feels that he can say that to you is also a testament of your beautiful relationship. So I will take the good, but it is going to make me think, check my tone. Don't even use that kind of slightly bossy tone, because Aiden doesn't want it. He doesn't like it. It doesn't help him.
Yeah, be there for them. Monitor what they're doing. Be really involved in their life, big or small, everything. Their little bodies, little minds. Yeah. They need a lot of nurturing, and be very mindful of their surroundings also. Who's meeting them? What are they saying to them? Because you don't know. People say things, and little hearts take it in a different way. Yeah. So it's all from that. But that was a hard watch, but a must watch if you haven't watched it. And if you have have watched anything that's fun and interesting,
Yeah.
and you would like to share with us, do that.
And I have so many more shows and movies that I want to talk about, so we'll do another episode.
Yeah,
later.
you watch a lot, so I'm sure you can.
You
there's
also
a lot.
watch a lot, Celine.
I watch a lot of
Dono Daba
rubbish.
Dekha.
I watch a lot of
And
rubbish.
Dubai Bling. Sorry.
Rubbish. No, but TK, it was light-hearted entertainment, so I
One quick
enjoyed it.
question: if you moved, if you were invited on a show like Dubai Bling, would you go? Actually, this is a good question. Is there any TV show that you would like to go on or be part of?
I have been invited to one actually.
Ooh, do you want to say it or you
I
can't?
can't say it
Okay, boring. But there's
because
like,
I can't be controversial. I'm very boring.
that's why it's unscripted and not unfiltered. See you guys next week. Bye.